Welcome to 2023. This is PHCL 201 City Campus, Group 1, a 12 to 2 group. We hope to share this content with the second group as well as with the main campus student who may not have online sessions like this and so won't have recordings. We'll still meet the group 2 though, but I just like to prompt that I'll share both recordings so that you can work with them. We are discussing today a build-up of what we have set up nicely with from the mind-body problem, which is our first philosophical problem we are engaging. We have given the class some good time to settle in, not just settle in, but to also engage content so that they can be able to be accountable. So we know the problem of mind and body, what its sources, and the various responses that have been given. If you don't, you have to catch up with this is the third week of a 12-week semester. Okay, you should be catching up. There are recordings that I've shared, previous ones, current ones, the compiled readings. I've asked your reps, coordinated it nicely so that people don't get stranded and go and get wrong content someone is doing. I mean, you know all that. So follow up and access it. Don't make it a burden of anyone to be carrying readings all over the place. We cannot do that work in addition to what we have done. This is university. Okay, but your rep assists you week 1, week 2. By the third week, you should find your way around and get involved with the content. Okay, so you will fill in the potholes. I'm still mopping up. How are these two essentially distinct realities causally connected? Because there seems to be some essential distinction between the two, according to those who hold on to the official doctrine. I'm projecting whilst teaching, so you will get a better understanding if your attention is not divided because no one is watching. You hold yourself accountable for the content that is being delivered. And so on your screen now, you see that projected dualism of the type where the two, dual means two. So there are two essentially distinct realities, mind and matter. Reality means two things that are real, that exists, existence. Essentially, they are two. You can speak philosophy, you can speak religion, you can speak science, physical versus non-physical, or mind, body and mind. So that mind will be the non-physical, or the physical world and the spiritual world. You can go on and on and on. Two distinct ultimate realities. So everything is either physical or non-physical. Everything is either physical or spiritual, as people would like to see. And that, the question now is, how is mental states causally able to affect causally physical state and vice versa? How is that possible? Because the assumption is made that that is possible, and that is René Descartes. We saw that. And someone will say that perhaps maybe they are not really distinct after all. That is why that is possible. Well, we can tell that I can't do your thinking about yourself for you. I can't think for you. I can't be conscious for you. You are conscious of yourself, and I'm conscious of myself. There's something about you that is private to you that I have no access to. I can touch your hand and feel whether it's hot or cold, but I cannot touch your pain or see the pain you are feeling about something or smell it. It is private to you. So there's privacy. Look on my screen. Whereas a part of you is public, a certain part of you seemingly is private. If you feel depressed, I can't feel the depression for you. If you are hungry, I cannot eat for you to be satisfied. So these are some of the ways that thinkers have distinguished mind from body. Body is another way of saying matter, material, material substance. Anything that has weight can occupy space. They have done that distinction, saying that mind is private, mind is non-extended. I said mind is not brain. By now, you should know that as a philosopher. Okay, mind is non-extended. Brain is physical. You can touch the brain. It's the whitish jelly-like substance in the head. But mind is a state of being, consciousness, subjectivity. Look on my screen, please. John Searle's version. We said all this. I'm just mopping up to build on. Mind is non-corporeal. It is not corporeal. It means that body is the opposite of all that. And if these are essentially distinct substances, two realities, how is it that one is causing the other, is able to cause the other? Cause here means give birth to it, bring about it. If it is a bird, it shouldn't be able to give birth to a crab. So it is problematic how it is that a mental state can give rise to cause a physical state and vice versa. And that is the problem that we can put practical application to it. I did a lot. You can play back the recordings. You see the connection. How can one man be able to psychologically affect a whole nation and cause them to kill each other? Yes, it is a mind-body thing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so some responses. Descartes' interactionism is a response which says that the mind and body problem shouldn't be a problem. After all, the causal connection that we are trying to investigate occurs in the pineal gland of the brain. We say, so the interactionism Descartes proposes is saying that mind and body interact in the pineal gland. He just showed us where the supposed causal connection takes place. He didn't show us how that is possible. How? The question is how, not where. So interactionism fails as a sustainable response to the problem. It doesn't deal with the problem. Occasionalism says on the occasion of the the physical stimuli, when your physical leg maybe hits the table, you felt pain. You don't understand how something physical causes the non-physical, which is the mental, and vice versa. That is the question. Nicholas Malebranche says, don't worry yourself about that. It is not any cause and effect thing. Attribute everything to the ultimate divine being, God. The physical leg hits the physical table at that instance, on that occasion, divine God comes to put pain there. So if you are feeling pain for that physical impact, it is caused by God. If you felt joy, it was caused by God. So it's not a causal connection between a physical and a mental state. See, everything comes from God and it ends with God. It is causally caused. In other words, the cause and effect thing shouldn't be between mind and body. You should attribute everything to the divine. So it is on that occasion, that's why it's called occasionalism. When I gave you the flower, that God put joy inside you, and then it led to smile, and the smile perhaps led to feeling of emotional whatever. So that cause and effect reasoning, cause and effect reaction, between mind and body is caused by the divine being on the occasion of the mental stimuli. And you, as groups, when you meet to discuss, you should ask yourself, what critique can I raise against this? You can engage your main campus folks, because you've done some group work, some in class, some this in class. When we are talking, then instead of giving you all the answers like this, I'll just say, so the group should discuss and tell me, write it down and submit our grade. Okay. You can ask them to see what do you think we can find wrong with this? Do those things and integrate. It is a good skill of academia. Okay. What critique can you raise? So we should hold God accountable for the rapist. Because the rapist says, about what I did to the girl, I expected that she will enjoy it. If she's feeling pain, then it's not me. It's God that put pain there. Look at how society breaks down. 3 says pre-established harmony. He says it's not a cause and effect between mental state and physical state. There is just an already arranged harmony. Harmony means correlation. The things should happen at the same time. So the physical state and the mental state are all ordained to happen at the same time. It's not on the occasion that God comes to put something there. See that? God already arranged it. So they happen at the same time. So it's not a cause and effect reasoning. And there is no problem of causality that we should be interested in investigating after all. Now, there again, the critique we can raise. Think about it. If it is pre-established harmony that every time you slap me, I should feel pain, then why is it that when Adjuasley slaps Johnny Bravo while they are being intimate, a husband and a wife, then he's happy. He says, slap me again. He is not sad. We thought that pain or sadness and the physical, slap were meant to correlate. Why is it that at certain times it alternates? It's not pain, it's joy. I gave flour, you smiled, meaning you had joy and then you smiled. The next year I give you flour, you're angry. But I thought they said it's pre-established harmony. If it were so, then the supposed mental state and physical state must yield the same effect consistently because they are pre-established. So that's a query. Then double aspect theory, and then the others. And I'm virtually doing the whole lecture again because not the whole lecture, but I'm touching on so many things. You shouldn't have an excuse not to do well. That's all I'm trying to do. For you to drop the level 100 feeling, I'm speaking to me, perhaps a few, a handful. Drop everything level 100. You are in 200 now. Drop everything excuses. My phone has done this. My mother hasn't done this. My school fees is not necessary. You have to take up responsibility, Ortega, and make the right choices. And we are only here to assist you settle in quickly, have the right posture, and go get the A's. Not just the A's, but the training and the content that the various courses you are doing are meant to give you. Don't have too many excuses. So I have done almost everything again, touching on them as a mop-up for others, and then a revision for those who are now engaging. Double aspect says mind and body are just aspects of a reality whose whole being or whole nature we are unable to grab. We can't grab the wholeness of that reality. So it's as if we don't have an adequate information to help us explain how they are causally connected. And that is how he responds to the mind-body problem. Okay, we can't see how, say, spirit and body are able to, my spirit and my body are able to interact or causally affect each other. Something is happening to my spirit. Sometimes the campus will say, her soul has left her. And it's supposed to be something that has been done to you spiritually that is having a physical effect on you. Okay? Tukwe, they say, they throw something at you. And the thing is meant to have been done spiritually, but then you get all swollen legs. Your physical leg can't move. You can't talk. Meanwhile, you talk for a living and they've done you something. I can say, it has touched you. The thing is not done physically. Nobody came to appear. Some people tell you, you say the land is yours. You won't give me my land. Land that I inherited from my father. Take the land. We will see if you can lay a foot on that land. And physically, he didn't do anything to you, but to a pole. You have been shot in the spirit, pole, and now you can't go to your own land. The point is there seems to be some cause and effect reaction from the spiritual to the physical and vice versa. If you don't want to say mind body, I put spirit flesh to capture the same thing for you to see. Idealists say there is only one reality, which is mind and its ideas. Materialists say there is only one reality, which is matter. And I don't like the Hobbes. I've already said that. Okay. I should have given you another author, not Hobbes. Here is materialism in social and political philosophy, not here. Okay, so materialists say the ultimate reality is one, which is matter. Functionalists say you are confusing the function of the human person with the thing that functions. Okay, so I am a person and I feel hungry. I am a person and I feel pain. Don't think that pain should be another entity. Don't think that there is a soul inside of this physical body that is feeling the pain. They think that you are just confusing the function of this body to be another entity. And that is what the functionalists call out. They have a problem with that. The disposition theorist is saying the same thing. Is a human being disposed to feeling pain, disposed to feeling hungry, disposed to feeling depressed? Don't think that depression belongs to the soul or the mind, a non-physical part of me. And therefore, you create two substances and you are trying to find how those two substances are causally connected. He said that is the problem. Now, Gilbert Ryle down there, take the compiled reader as early as possible and engage the content because it puts some more readers if you want to, some more examples, and it even shows you. If I went to the university, you brought me to University of Ghana, I took you to the various offices, I took you to the lecture halls, I took you to blah, 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 you see. They, after seeing all that, you ask me, yes, I've seen all these places, but what is the University of Ghana? I don't understand the question, because everything I've showed you is the embodiment. It encapsulates what University of Ghana should be. I've taken you to all of it, and you're still asking me what is University of Ghana. So Ryle, who is an analytic thinker, meaning he looks at the language that you are speaking, and he thinks that the whole thing about the mind-body problem is a category mistake. You are confusing a different category. You are confusing that category and the question that should be addressed to a certain category to another. It's like asking, what food would the needle eat this morning? It's like, why are you asking the food that needle will eat? Needles don't eat food. Something like that. Read the thing and see the several instances he's using to show you why it is a linguistic problem that he calls a category mistake that is generating the mind-body problem. He doesn't think there should be two substances on my screen now. You see, he thinks that, my friend, it is the substance talk, the talk of substance, that there are two substance things that is generating the problem. He doesn't go further to talk metaphysics or to be materialist per se, but it is implied that the whole human being should be considered as a mind. So his book is The Concept of Mind. That's the title of Gilbert Ryle's book, where he does this analysis. The concept, the idea of mind, how you should understand mind. Don't go looking for mind as another entity. Mind is actually the encapsulation of everything the person is, from her physical leg to the depression she feels when her leg hits a table, or to the pain or the hunger and what have you. It's the system, the organization, like the University of Ghana is the organization. Okay, so if you see the way the lecture halls and the students and our exams are done and what have you, all of them put together is what we mean by the University of Ghana. And therefore, you shouldn't go looking for University of Ghana as another entity beside the physical things you see, the operations of the university and what have you. All of them put together is that. The same way, don't go looking for mind as distinct from matter or the body. And the whole argument you have to do that is, oh, I'm looking for mind because I feel pain. You say, but pain is the product of the operation, you see that, of the body. So he ridicules, the official doctrine folks by saying that they talk as if the human person is a ghost living in a machine. A ghost living in a machine. The ghost being the soul or mind or spirit living in a machine, the physical structure called body. And he thinks that that is a faulty thing, such that if the ghost leaves, then the machine becomes worthless. He thinks, no. It is just a language problem, a linguistic problem that, if corrected, will make the problem disappear. And so we take idealism proper and see what it stands for. Because it is a monist view on your screen now. Please keep looking on my screen. I'm teaching with the screen. Okay, so keep looking. Otherwise, you won't get the trust of the shift from one place to the other. It's a classroom time, okay? The idealist and materialist views to the question of existence. What exists is monist. They are monist, meaning they think one thing exists. Mono, from the word mono, okay? Monocotyledon. Monist, not dual or die, no, mono. So the monist views include idealism and materialism. It's monist view on the question of what exists, reality, okay? You can have a monist view on how we know, but we are not doing that. We are talking existence now, reality, metaphysics, okay? What ultimately exists. Idealists say, oh, one thing ultimately exists. So on that, they agree with the materialists. They both think there's one thing that exists. So they will not face the mind-body problem. It is the person who says there are two things that exist. Remember the notes you wrote week 1? Two things exist. Those two things are essentially distinct, and yet they are causally connected. If you hold on to these three, then you create the mind-body problem. So if I think there is only one thing that exists, I don't have to face the mind-body problem at all. So the idealists and materialists don't have to deal with any mind-body problem. Now, why are we interested in this? The practical instances I keep giving in class are there for you to see. What I think is really there will influence how I'm behaving. Religion, culture, politics, even marriage, man and woman, and so on and so forth, is inspired by my view. When I say my, the person speaking's viewpoint, and you think it is useless, you think it is irrelevant to practical life, then you don't understand. Because the
Oh,
I mean, the battle is still ongoing. Look. All right. Can you hear me now, please?
yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Okay, wait a minute. I stopped talking. I was just saying that even the geopolitics, how we are doing politics now, and all are inspired by perspectives. The person thinks that the land was given to me, so I own it. Another person thinks, no, you are an invader. It is a perspective, how the person is seeing. So it also read Russell. You are seeing, I will reproject it. You will see the point of view, the expression point of view was prominent in the whole text. It is practical matters we are discussing, very practical. It's not abstract at all, but we only deal with it at an abstract level. And so we are taking idealism proper as one. When I did the introduction session with you, I told you if I wrote W on the floor and you stood at the extreme end and the other person stood at the other opposite end, we will see different things. If you enter the room, I say stand here, stand. I say look down and tell me which object you see. We are replicating what you say you see there. This person will say, no, it's M, I see M. You say, no, it's W. I see M, W, M, W. If you're not careful, we can shoot each other because of that. If I asked you to count, so and so on and so forth. So to what extent will we know what the real nature, reality, what is really there, reality? That's what we are dealing with. Not what we assume to be there. Not what we take for granted is there. Not what we have taken to be the case, dogma. No, the reality. How will we know knowledge of the real? That is the problem. So let's take it one so that you don't get it all messed up. Idealists, like materialists, agree that there is ultimately one reality, which is for the idealist, mind, for the materialist, matter. Mind and the ideas in it, they are all mental, they are not material. You can't touch an idea or see an idea or smell an idea or taste an idea. It is mind, it is mental, non-physical. Okay, that is what ultimately exists. Now, just a quick note for your build-up. Note that rationalists and empiricists are addressing the question of how do we know knowledge? Rationalism, rational, empiricism. Empirical, the five senses. How do we come to know? Empiricism, we know through the five senses. I either saw it, I heard it, I touched, I tasted, or I smelled. To know, knowledge, epistemology. Rationalist says through the pure activity of the mind, empiricists say through the five senses, but both of them are dealing with what? The question of knowledge. When you come to idealists, materialists, they are not talking how do we know? They are more concerned about what is there, what really is. Metaphysics, not epistemology. Okay. So idealist says what really exists is non-physical spirit, whereas materialist says what exists is the material. There isn't anything substantive beyond the material. You can talk in church language and you see what I'm saying. Everything emanates from the spiritual. So there's ultimately spirit. The physical and everything in it is just passing away. Everything is past. That's church language now, religious language. So there's only one ultimate reality for some. Others think there's a dual But the other one, which is the physical one, is just giving in to being spiritual. We will take on an incorruptible body, spiritual body, not a physical one. That's why it will not die. This physical one will get hungry, it will cry, it will be depressed, it will get hurt, it will be sick, it will need sunlight and carbon dioxide and oxygen and blah, blah, blah. We take on the incorruptible, it is spirit. So the point is, if the thing sounds so abstract, relate to it in terms that you can connect with. Okay, idealists think that what ultimately exists is mind, whilst materialists think what ultimately exists is matter. Now, the question, the reason why I'm showing you these pair is that you will think then that if I'm rationalist, that means I say how we come to know is through mind, then it must be obvious to me that what exists then ultimately will be mind, because I know it through the mind. Then it means what exists must be mind. So being rationalist and being idealist will cohere. It looks like it doesn't generate too much tension. If I'm Plato and I say, how do we know it's through the pure activity of the mind, not the physical? The physical things are not real. So I say mind. How do we know through mind? What really exists, I say, reality is not material substance. Remember, level 100, 102. The physical table is not real, says Plato. The real thing is the idea of tableness, because that is what will never change, cannot be destroyed, blah, blah, blah. The two worlds, the world of reality, the world of appearance, okay? So he is rationalist and he believes that reality is ideas, mind. Rationalists believe we source knowledge through the mind. So it looks like that's fine. That one doesn't create any problem for us. The challenge is where on my screen now, where you have idealists, thinkers, like John Locke and Berkeley, who are not rationalists. They are empiricists. What does that mean? They believe that science, and how do we know? We know through the five senses. We see, we hear, we touch, we taste, and smell. Empiricist means that is how we know through what? The five senses. You are an empiricist. When we ask you then what really exists, a metaphysical question, you say mind. Hey, that's the problem. That one is difficult. Because how do we know it? You say we use our five senses. We use our five senses to know reality. What is the reality? You say the real thing is not material. It's not matter. But what? Mental thing. So I use my eyes to see spirit, or I use my eyes to see mind. You see how that is challenging. And that is why we are going to engage John Locke and John Berkeley on what they consider to be the real, as idealist thinkers who are also empiricists in their epistemology, how we come to know. They are empiricists. So how will I know the reality of this supposed laptop that is in front of me? Texture. I know the texture because I'm feeling it. What I feel it to be is what it is. Oh, yes. If it is not that, then whose feel of it should I consider to be the texture? I feel it to be smooth. The other person thinks it's rough. You say what the other person says is what I should take, not what I. I am in that fire. I say it's burning, you say it's not hot. Are you the one inside it? I'm now addressing Sir Ernest's question that he asked earlier. The woman has come and given all of us slaps, back. When she finished slapping, I said, the slap is very painful. You are standing by there, you say, but this small slap she gave, it's not painful. This thing is romantic slap. Hey, Wafa, are you the one who felt the slap? I am doing the feeling of the slap and it feels painful. You say it feels sweet. Can I begrudge you? No, but you can't impose your view on mine. So John, you said you read Russell. I'm sure things are falling into place now. Russell takes each of the senses. Why? Because he's dealing with idealists who are empiricists in orientation, who say we come to know through the five senses. So he deals with the sense of touch, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, and even taste, takes them one after the other to make the case for the idealist. But on our screen now, you see that there can be two versions of idealism. I want to summarize the thrust of the matter first, then we can read through and cement it well. That's why I'm doing a lot of the talking. Look, I just showed you, and I think you will agree to a large extent with idealists, that the Kojo Bravo, Johnny Bravo, that you think is a good guy, if you came to my, we're so respectful, oh, this, yes, he's so caring to you. Because if you went home, you go and see how he insults his mother. The mother doesn't think of him as a respectful guy, but how he takes care of Ajua slave, opens the gate for her, calmly puts the food down, even feeds her, takes a grown-up sister because he wants to love her and she to love him. Takes the spoon, feeds him, feeds her, rub her back. Do you want this? Oh, should I add water? Do you want the massage on your feet? He's doing all that. So you think of him as caring. Why? Because that is how he appears to you. Russell's paper, appearance versus reality. We'll go into Russell proper. I want to show you the idealism discourse. And then when we go into Russell, you will see that Russell is picking on the supposed debate between idealists and materialists, and even the types of idealists, like I projected on the screen now. It appears to you that he is caring. But mommy too, his mommy at home, when he says, Mommy, I'm off to school, and he says, Oh, but I said that you should fetch water. Oh, no, let me be. Oh, won't you know, get off. You like that. When people are going to office or school, they want to do a babysitting. Hey, baby. So for mommy and how mommy sees him, point of view, empirical, they are not the same. Now, whose point of view of Johnny Bravo is the reality, is the real Johnny? Whose? Russell tells you, you cannot choose one over the other because they are all ideas that people have formed about Johnny. Now, when we use Johnny, or we use a political party, or we use a nation that says, I love you more than you, the people of that nation, love yourself. Oh, that. So they'll give you enough for you to become more powerful than them. You think so? It's a joke. Nobody takes care of you better than themselves. God says, love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself. So this so-called aid and grants and help that is coming, if someone is interrogating the point of view, the one giving it, perhaps you will be careful with the wholesale, because the brother who is constantly giving you, oh, give this to your wife, I think she will need such a shoe. Oh, you can buy this, collect this car for her, do this. Do you know what you are doing? Perhaps it is out of genuine love and affection for your family, but it could also be a bait. You have to look at the point of view of the one giving. Judas was giving a kiss to Jesus, meant to be a sign of love and care and admiration. Jesus asked him, are you betraying your master with a kiss? Because Jesus could see the perspective of Judas. It is a point of view matter. It is not a generic one that everybody knows that, oh, me love you, me love you. Some are saying chobwe behind you. If you knew why they were saying the chobwe, you politician, it's because they want you to sit down quickly and start giving them also special attention, which is perhaps not accepted. So point of view, we are talking idealism. We use table, chair, blackboard, things, because we have to abstract it. But when we start putting content to it, you will see that it is economics, it is politics, it is religion, it is culture. Everything put it. So let's learn the main lines first, and then now we can do that practical application to see its usefulness in everyday life and which version is defensible. The law court. You see the person in the dressing that the person came to the court with, and immediately you think that he will be the criminal. Is that how you're going to judge? Will you judge from your Christian perspective because the person is non-Christian? Or you judge from the non-Christian perspective because you don't want anybody to say that because you're a Christian? How can you be objective about a matter when every knowing, look on your screen, I'm talking Berkeley now, when every knowing of reality from the empiricist point of view, whenever I know what I know, five senses, see, hear, touch, taste, smell, will be according to how I know it. So what is real will be tied to a point of view. This is what Berkeley emphasizes, that the reality of a thing depends. I'm quoting what is on my screen now. Please look at it respectfully so that I don't lose track. What's the word? You don't lose track. The reality, what the thing really is. So let's take a table. The table, let's start with touch. Is it smooth? Because we are not talking idealism that is supported by rationalism. Descartes, Plato's own. That is non-physical. So the idea will be mind. It will not blend there, No, there is no blend. But where the person is empiricist, we are talking about material substance, matter. And yet the person says it's reality. I mean, there's a laptop in front of me. It says it's not material. It's reality, is the idea I have of it. I'm sure someone say, oh, but dog, this one is a useless assumption. Do you know that the reality of the house you're living in, before it became a material substance like that, that you are living in, matter, something you can touch and hold, it was an idea in the designer's, the draftsman's head. The thing was crafted in the mind before it started materializing. So the reality is not the material thing, because as you are building, I can say, no, this side will be the kitchen. Let's put the toilet here. Here we'll use the chandelier. Here we'll do this. Here, let's fix the cabinet here. Why? Because the creation, the real thing, is not the physical. The fashion designer, the one who sews clothing, can look at the sister, look at her forehead, her slim shoulder, her calf, and say, okay, I think I can do this bridal wear for her. She has already created the original thing. The idea is the real thing. The fabric that she will buy, where she will put a button or a zip or a chiffon or what have you, is based on the reality. That is the idea. That's why you shouldn't joke with people's creativity. You see, people have created something. They go and take it and say, "Oh, after all, isn't it just the idea?" Look at the people that have advanced in many ways and how they take seriously copyright. The thing is for someone, especially ideas, they reward it because that is the original. The photocopies can be plenty, because the original is done and everybody's picking from there. So what is the point? The idea is more real, says the idealist. That is what is really there, not the physical manifestation of it. So the idea of table, the idea of Dubai, when the whole place was a deserted place, nobody thought we could go there for excursion and pay so much. Who wanted to go there? But someone's idea is what has materialized like that. The original, which is what you look at to create the material. That is why idealism is not a useless thing. In fact, we are all idealists, one way or the other. But which kind and which version and how do we manifest it is what we are interrogating, I think, to a large extent. Not all are idealists. I think that people just pretend not to be. The reality of the thing, you can't begrudge the idealist when he tells you that it is how I know it. So if I touch the table, back to what I was saying, and I feel it to be smooth, and you touch it and you think it is rough, why do you think that your roughness, assessment of it is what should hold? Why? The person is playing musical at the funeral grounds there on the park there. The speakers, dun, 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 dun. You are in your hostel. You can't even read one line of John Locke because you feel it's so loud. Yet, another mind like you, speaking Gilbert Ryle's language, another mind like you is sitting next to the speaker there, next to it. Itajame. The thing is not loud to him. He's in fact eating next to the speaker. The system is sitting next to him. You are some meters away, even in your hostel or something, and the thing is so loud you can't even concentrate. Now the question is, Is it that the speaker is loud or you hear it to be loud? They are not the same statement. You hear it to be loud, it's not the same as it is loud. I see him to be caring. It's a different statement from the one that says he is caring. I see him to be, it's a claim of knowledge. I know him to be like that. That's how he comes across to me. That's how he appears to me. Hope everyone is following. Are you there or you are asleep?
We are here.
I like the way you are all comported like this. Yes. Very good. I see him. Oh, Mate. I see him to be caring. It's a statement of how he comes across to me, how he appears to me, how I know knowledge. But if I say he is caring, I'm making a metaphysical claim. I'm speaking about existence. He is. God exists. You see, I am, you are, he is. It's a claim of existence that I'm making. I know him to be this. It's a statement of knowledge. It depends on the one speaking, knowledge. To jump from I know him to be a thief, therefore he is a thief. I know him to be caring, therefore he's caring. I have jumped from a claim of epistemology, knowledge claim, to a metaphysical claim. And that is the problem that Russell is investigating in his paper, Reality versus Appearance. The same thing is what is engaging these two idealists you see on your screen. We are going to take it one after the other to mop up nicely. John Locke versus George Berkeley. Both idealists, meaning what? So we will read line by line, then I make sure I don't leave anything unanswered. If you want to read for us, it's time. Raise your hand very quickly. I have 3 names on my file for today's session for City Campus Group 1. I see John, your class rep. I see Joshua Agbemavo, and then I see Ernest Ajemai. Joshua didn't earn a mark yet. I'll give him another opportunity, at least for the attempt. There's a half mark for him there. Sarah Kwashi, please read what you see on your screen for me quickly. Then I'll explain the whole thing.
Okay. Two views of idealism. Objective idealist. Since that is ideas exist apart from our perception, that is sensing of them. They will continue to exist even if we did not exist to perceive them. Subjective idealism.
So I tell you to recall Plato. You see, remember what we did with Plato, why he is considered an objective idealist.
Why is he considered objective idealist?
Very good. Now go to the subjective idealist.
Subjective idealist. That is George Berkeley. Things or ideas depend on perception for their existence. If it is not perceived or sensed, then it cannot be or exist.
Good.
They could cease to exist if all perceivers cease to exist. To be is to be perceived.
Well done. 1 mark, Sarah, for you, Sarah Kwashi. Now, to be is to be perceived, says the subjective idealist. It means that someone like George Berkeley is saying that whatever we know, and I say, as soon as I say no, because the empiricist, wear the empiricist cap so that you don't struggle to understand. I'm not talking rationalist. If he's a rationalist and he's idealist, you can't begrudge him. But these are empiricists. So the knowledge we are talking about here is what comes to us through the 5 senses. I saw it, I heard it, I touched, I tasted. So you will see the object we are discussing is not mentally derived object. No, it's a sense object that is capable of sensation. A book, a table, the iron, another human, those things. Why? Because they are empiricists. So it is either I touched it, I looked at it, I heard it because you spoke. That kind of object. And he's saying that for subjective idealists, we cannot have any such reality of a physical object like that without the person that is sensing it. Because the color that will make me see it, it is according to how my eye sees it. So if it is, let's take a book on my table. Let's say the UGRC 150 book is now on my table. How do you know that there's a book there? I see colors, I see shapes, I feel a texture if I touched it, I hear a sound if I drop it. If I want to even bite it, I may have a taste of it. That is how I am able to join those ideas together to see that, oh, it is a book. If you close my eyes and you put a knife in my mouth, I won't call it a book because I can feel the texture. It is a metal. Sometimes if you turn it this way, I can feel the shape and so it's not knife, it's fork. Why? Because I see, hear, touch, taste, smell to gather ideas of it. So the idea of its shape, for example, squareness. Follow me systematically. Those who read Russell, by now you see what was going on there. I either see the shape of square, the color of redness, the taste of sweetness, of bitterness, as if I use my tongue. I can hear loudness, or I can smell, how do you describe it? A good scent or a bad scent, These are all coming to the ideas. They are the qualities. So when you see primary qualities and secondary qualities, that is what we are referring to: shape, size, whatever. And I'll go slowly. According to Berkeley, anytime I know, any knowing at all, any reality that I try to know, that real thing is the idea of it, not the physical object, if there is any at all. So it is the shape, the color, the senses that I gather that is real. Why? Because every knowing, look on my screen, will be tied to the mind that is doing the knowing. The reality is the mind and the ideas the mind has. If I have an idea of the shape of that book, that it is square, or the size, that it is 2 kilograms, that idea will be in a mind, like the idea of Dubai was in the mind. The idea of that phone, the people who created it, iPhone 14 Pro Max, whatever, was an idea in someone's head. The dress style, the bridal wear, it was an idea in the madam's mind that she put into materialization for you to see. The whole town and country planner had to have a creative idea. Look at how some cities are planned, and look at how ours too, some of our places too. Idea the idea is far away. So it's not organized. The reality is the idea, the mind. Get that? So shapes, colors, texture. You may be an estate developer. You have in mind, okay, our houses will use thatch. We will add some wood. We'll mix it with cement. Yeah, we'll use containers. Yeah, for affordability. And so you are creating the reality is the idea. It includes shape. That's what we mean by idealism. And if it is the reality is the idea, ideas don't hang on trees. They are in minds. Mind is the container of ideas. You should see why Berkeley would therefore say that. Look on the screen. Lady read it. Sarah read it a moment ago. So watch. If we have not perceived the thing, perception is sensing. Just another word for it. You sense it. You either see, touch, taste, or smell to gather ideas of it. To gather shape, size, color. If I haven't touched it or seen it or heard it, how will I know it? How will it be real? That is Berkeley. So anything that is real, the reality of it, remember the real thing is the idea of it there, then it must be in the mind. So simply put, if it is not sensed, because it's an empiricism, if it's not perceived, then it cannot exist. Because the thing that exists is a mind and its ideas. Ideas of it is what is it. If it is an idea, it must be inside the mind, the knowing mind, the mind that is doing the knowing, the perceiver, the sensor, the one doing the sensing. I enter a shop. I tell the attendant there, I want a couch, which is very smooth. I want a smooth couch. The attendant says, oh, yeah, it's smooth. This one is smooth, but the lady touches and says, well, yeah, but I really want a smooth one. She touches it, she doesn't feel smooth. The brother touches, he feels smooth. Wait, the one who is, so there is no smooth. If the hand that is feeling smoothness doesn't feel smooth, that is what Berkeley is saying. The idea, which is the reality of it, depends on the knowing mind. So there is no reality. Now I speak philosophy. There is no reality according to the subjective ideality, the subject that bears the reality, the idea. Okay, there is no reality outside of the knowing mind, the mind that does the knowing. If you think of something that is really there and it is not in the mind, that does the knowing. He says that how can there be that reality? It has to be in the mind. So maybe for my mind, for me, this is smooth. For you, it is rough. And that is the question Ernest asked. Then Ernest says, oh, but doc, I can see a car. And then the person says he cannot see. Oh, I say I'm seeing a car, but the person doesn't see a car. So what happened? I say, but I say I can see a car. You don't see the people who hallucinate. They are lying in their room. And they look into the skies and they see, hey, bye, she's coming. And you are with them, you don't see anybody. And she says she's seeing someone and she's running. If that one looks like, oh, it's a Nigerian film or Ghanaian film, check your Bible. I just gave you instances. The Bible we all profess. A large number of us do. Several instances. Others don't see it. But others can. They see it. They hear it. So what am I saying? So the fact that you don't see what I am seeing doesn't mean it's not there. Then the person said, I see the Son of Man. His hands are opened up. He says, come on to me. Stephen is being stoned. He's looking up. He sees Jesus standing. Stephen, New Testament. He can see Jesus standing. He's not even sitting. The people are stoned. You think if they saw Jesus looking down at them, at least they will see the evidence saying, we are doing the wrong thing. They didn't see Jesus. Stephen did. You believe your Bible. So the fact that you are not seeing what they are seeing doesn't mean it's not there. Neither does it mean it is there. That is for John, because he read Russell. Russell says, we want to be careful also not to say that because they say they see and we don't see, so it has to be there. No, there may be nothing there, like the way the sister is running in the bush, thinking there's a snake there. No snake. Already she has formed the view of a snake in her mind. Sometimes when they send you at night, when we're children, they'll send you to the junction to go and buy mosquito coil or something. Darkness everywhere, no street light. Even if nothing has happened, you say, I saw something. Hey, I said, baby, there's nothing there. Yeah. The whole point is the idealist, materialist, the idealist debate is what we are looking at. So I just spent a lot of time showing you Berkeley. You will see then that Russell is not idealist. He just takes the idealist argument and shows a logical consequence that they are not entitled to arrive at. Then he says that is why we may struggle to follow his conclusion. Russell now, his conclusion is we may never know the reality. Because every reality of an object we have will be tied to a point of view, a specific point of view, a knower, the one who is doing the knowing. So we may, he didn't say so, we don't know. If you say we don't know the reality, you have taken a position, you have become materialist or something else. If you say so there is, you have taken a position. If you say there is not, you have taken a position. A wise analytic thinker engaging the issue properly, an empiricist for that matter, I think is materialist to an extent. I'm careful with the labeling because I'm a philosopher. I can critique and see that the person wants to argue this, but he's not doing that. Okay, so the dogmatic labeling is sometimes questioned. But Russell tries to play a middle liner and says we may never know the real nature of that physical table, supposed physical table, because there might not even be a physical table, just like there may not be a snake there, or no ghost is chasing anybody. He may just be hallucinating, or there may be, we just can't see it. So he leaves the question of the reality of the physical object hanging, and says, since we may never know the reality and we still have to exist, like Ernest is concerned about, we have to assume and help to argue to show people our point of view of the matter, how we see it. That's what politics should do. That's what religion should do. This is how I see it. Helping you see it my way is so that we can stand at the same perspective and see the same shape and see the same Johnny Bravo. Do you see that? That is the whole business. So you want people to market your product. You have to help the customer see it your way. Because when you go and tell, hey, this one, flashy anashi. Oh, that's some people's product. I don't want trouble. If you tell them that, maybe you think that the customer's interest is in the thing disappearing early. Another customer's interest is not in that. He wants to know, me flashy and she, what came out of it? When I did it, then it disappeared. It's a product for, using I don't want to say it is too early. Glue, Someone may not be too interested in how fast it disappears. He wants to know what is the chemical composition of the thing that makes it disappear. There might be a perspective that you are not looking. You are only looking, this one, hey, if you put it in now to this. The person may have a different perspective. Your ability to tap into the various point of views. And so those who read Russell, move around the room. When you look at it from this perspective, you see the shape over there as square. But if you move here, it will be like a parallelogram. If you go the other, it looks like pentagon. It means the more perspectives you have to the matter, the better your ability to convince the other person to see it your way. That's what you should do. That's the import of the discussion so far. Russell says we cannot impose any reality, because if it is known through the senses and the ideas that I gather do not necessarily represent the idea that another mind gathers of that supposed physical object, then I cannot impose my view, imposition, no, and say that God that answered by fire, let him be my God. You know how I sing that song? Because I saw him answer by fire. That's how I saw him. Doesn't mean he is that God. No, he does have his several other things. He's also a merciful father. He is a counselor. At least if you are quoting Bible. He is a dove. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Yet he's the lamb that was slain. He's everything to everybody. So your ability to see the various perspectives. Can a woman's tender care cease towards the child she bears? This is a hymn, This is God saying, I am like that. So sometimes he says, I have some compassion like a woman, a mother for that matter. And yet, when we pray, we say, our Father in heaven is a father. And a friend that sticks closer than a brother. See the various perspectives to that entity. So if he tells you, go and receive the people downstairs, then Peter says, but you say we shouldn't eat unclean. You don't know this part of him. He's changing. Thou shalt not kill. Then I said, well, you go kill all the people there. No, he's changing us. He's changing his being. He's showing you perhaps some various aspects of him that you may not know. So you don't want to forgive the person because you think the person must be judged by God. Because God said, if you do this, you judge. God too is telling you, forgiving him. You can't forgive yourself. Are you God? Do you know all of him? Come to politics. Maybe, just maybe, if we had a national agenda, all the various perspectives, MPP, QRS, NDC, WZY, may help us shift around towards that supposed fixed reality. See my point? But entrenched positions, man and wife, married, entrenched positions, the person can't see it your way. He's groomed in a modest home that doesn't show off love, express it like that publicly. It is like you are unchaste when you hold your lady's, back, your hand is around her neck and you are giving her peg in public, and it's like, no, that's not respectful of the people watching you. That's how he was groomed. I don't know. That's his perspective, point of view. The lady too feels that showing that is a statement you are making. So if you're not careful, this can lead to divorce. And the people can't figure out what the issue is, because they look at the matter from different points of view. I don't want to reference a very recent, if you are current in the social media, you know that a very visible lady and the gentleman are going through something. And I won't be surprised that perhaps if it is true, it might have something to do. It's a point of view, how the people see that thing. Idealism. If I asked you in an exam question, you bet you know that I will ask you who is an objective idealist, who is a self. Why would I ask you that? The way you are grown ups like that. I want to know how you use the concept. That's how my questions, because we want you to go and apply it at it. And that is why I have drifted to go and apply them from religion to politics to society, cultural issues, psychology, what have you, so you can see, so you thought you are helping the special student, for example, by telling them that, oh, they should sit down. They don't do anything. Some will feel insulted. Why? Why should I sit down? Am I not a human being too? But you thought you were helping them. You have to see their view. So it's always important to dialogue, to engage, to try to let the person see it, that imposing it, because you may not be right. And he or she may not be right either. But when we talk about it, and I say, you come and stand at my angle of observation. You see, when I touch it from here, look at how I see it. I see it as a square. So you were seeing it as a rectangle. That is why. Look at where you are standing. Look at where I see M-O. Look, that's why I was saying M. But if you come to my place to come and stand where I'm standing, it's W. So you see, when I was in the aeroplane, that skyscraper looked like a matches box. So the size was small. I thought that I could ask the baby to pick it. That's why I told the baby to pick that. Because I was in the aeroplane high up there in the sky. You were closer to the same shape. I'm talking shape now. Down there, it looked big and overwhelming. I was up there. So Elijah tells the guy assisting him, why are you disturbing me? He said, the way the people are coming, will become obituary. They'll finish. I think it was Elisha telling Gehazi something. They overcome us. If you look at it, so the people say, Master God, open his eyes. Let them see the people that are with us. So that he will keep quiet. Because he hasn't seen it. His perspective. Not that he doesn't have faith. Baby, attendant, where this man was and what he could see is not what this one could see. So Jesus could sleep. He could sleep when the storm was coming. The disciples were shocked. You are sleeping in a storm. Hello. Okay. I don't know the other religious scriptures. I just use them because they are authoritarian for us. They are so authoritative texts that we are all living our lives by, generally speaking. Either Islam, Ekanka, traditional religion, what have you. I don't know the other ones, but I'm referencing those that I think a good number of us in Ghana do, and I'm familiar with the text. Listen, he was asleep. Can you imagine singing praises and worship in prison? You and I, even exam, if you are going to write exam 2 minutes, look at how you behave. God, after all the time that I've said, maybe I'm going to exam cry again, I've stopped. So it's always, so God didn't help me get B+. Look at this C that I've gotten. The guys were in prison for preaching. They were singing praise and worship. It's a perspective matter. How you see it. And that is what the whole idealism thing is. And no, how you see it. That's what idealism means. And the subjective idealist says, if it is not sensed, then it is not there. But the objective idealist, John Locke, wants to make room for the possibility of a reality which has not been sensed. That is his big problem. Trying to eat your cake and still have it. Because you can't reduce everything to our knowing of it. That if I have not tasted, smelt, or seen it, in other words, if there is no mind that has known it, touched it, tasted it, it doesn't exist. John Locke thinks that is too extreme. That is too extreme. It should be possible for us to have a certain kind of reality, even if no mind was there to observe it, or to sense it, or to perceive it. But George Berkeley thinks no. To be, that is to exist, is to be perceived. If it hasn't been perceived, then it doesn't exist. Okay, so let's think about it. Someone has been killed. I don't want to use a very sensitive stuff, but someone has been killed in their room. There's no human being there that saw who killed him. No, if I say someone has been killed, they will say the person who killed the person was the human being that saw it. So let's use maybe the meter in the room there, meter caught fire and burnt. No human being was there to see it, or taste, or touch, or smell. By this logic of the subjective idealists, it means that burning of the house they didn't occur. That is what we have captured here. The question that this one. And so I'll ask the second person to read. Hey, today I've done all the talking. We're relaxing, enjoying lecture. Jennifer Kwara, please read what is on your screen for me.
Okay. From Locke's perspective, do you see why a tree falling over on a desert island can make no sound and have no color or taste? That is secondary qualities. Though it must have size, shape, and motion, that is the primary qualities. Will Berkeley agree to all?
No. Berkeley's own is a capital no. For him, for Berkeley, thank you, my lady. I've put down your name and you have turned yourself a mark. Listen, for Berkeley, to say that a tree has fallen over on a deserted island, desert, there's no human being there. I said later, let me put this in quickly because people will play this somewhere, come and worry me. Later on, you will see that Berkeley will argue that there is a universal mind, consciousness, an ultimate mind. The ultimate mind will be God. He's a bishop. So there is an ultimate mind, the mind behind all creation, who sees all things, knows all things, is always everywhere. And so he can sustain, he can make it possible for such a thing to occur because he will see, he knows. So there is a knowing mind all the time. I mean, our minister, our MP that died, that we still haven't been able to make any progress with who killed him. No human being, no human mind may know. No human being may know, may have seen, may have touched, I said. But the ultimate mind will know. And so it exists. I hope you get that. So there is a mind, which is not the physical you and I, human being, but the ultimate mind, which is God, consciousness, some will say, who knows all things, sees all things, hears all things. That is also the concern that people did. Maybe no human being was there to hear, but God heard it. The fire, how it started, the earthquake, maybe all that one. So far as there's a universal consciousness, that is possible. This is when you advance. For now, I'm using the human mind, the problem of Adam, you and I, to explain Berkeley to help you. Okay, and I'm saying that Berkeley is saying then that to say that a tree fell over on a deserted island somewhere where there is no human being, for Berkeley, it will mean that that tree cannot make a sound. That falling cannot make a sound because for you to hear the sound, there must be a mind that is doing the hearing of the sound to register or record loudness or mildness, if you like. You see, you can't hear sound. You can't taste the fruit on it. You can't say that it was sweet or bitter because there has to be a human being to do the tasting to register the idea of sweetness or bitterness. The tree cannot have a color. There should be an eye that sees. There can't even be a tree because there's no mind to do the seeing. If you are talking the human being as a mind, not a witch, because witches don't have to be there. They can be in Accra and see what is happening in Azerbaijan. I beg you, that's what we are told. So you're not talking a witch. I'm not talking CCTV camera. what's the thing? The one that you can be in America and then put it in somebody's embassy in Zimbabwe or something and see what. No, I'm not talking any of those. And that is what the scientists may tell you, that there will always be a mind. The human person may not be, but the artificial intelligence could be there. The CCTV camera could be there. And I even say, don't worry yourself with CCTV camera. If you want, and you would make a leap of faith, there is the ultimate conscious mind in charge all the time. Now we are talking about where you were looking at human beings. It means for our friend Bishop Berkeley, there can't be such an occurrence. There can't be a reality of a tree falling over on a deserted island and falling with a loud sound, boom, having red, gold, green apples on it, and blah, blah, blah. It can't happen. But can you imagine that for John Locke, it is possible for the shape, I'm going to deeper waters a little, then we end. The shape, look on my screen now, the size, the motion, the position to exist without a knowing mind, that is the difference. Watch, I take you back to the slide I had them. So look at objective idealists, like John Locke says, you can have certain ideas that exists objectively without the knower, without the perceiver, without anybody sensing it. He says if it is the color there, for us to know whether it's green or yellow or blue, an eye must see it to determine the color. If it is the taste, I hope you are making your notes, write it down. If it is the taste of the orange, it depends on who is putting it on their tongue. Because if I do, I may say this is sweet. Another person will say, oh, way is sweet. It's not sweet. So tastes, color, sound, hearing, looks like they depend, even texture, whether it's smooth or rough, it depends on the sensor, the power sensor, necessarily. So John Locke will agree with Berkeley on such qualities. Tastes, there we go, color, sound, texture. They say these ones, they are secondary. They are not primary, they are secondary. So they depend on the observer, the sensor, the knower to determine their reality, says John Locke. But he calls the other one, for the primary ones, they do not depend on an observer. This is John Locke's language, primary versus secondary as seminal. It is John Locke. Why? Because he's trying to make his philosophy on reality versus appearance rational, so that you don't say that because it has not been sensed, it means it doesn't exist. He feels that, oh, but that is too, like Ernest was expressing. It will make the whole thing stressful for us. So he's trying to make it possible for us to have reality. So some crime has occurred somewhere. No one saw it. No one heard it. No one tasted. But at least we can agree that the shape of the object that was used was round. We can agree that the size of the object was so and so kilos or so and so. The weight. We can even agree that the position was the left side of the culprit, excuse me, the victim. That one must not be, I didn't see you, so I can't tell whether it was a round or when we see the round thing on his cheek, we should know that they use a round substance to hit it. That one, you don't say that, oh, it will depend on who is seeing, says John Locke. So he's trying to distinguish between ideas. Now, instead of saying ideas, you see that we are shifting to qualities. It's the same. Don't get worked up. So John Locke distinguishes primary qualities on your screen from secondary qualities. And he says that, what is it? The primary one does not depend, look on my screen now, please, does not depend on the sensor, the one who is doing the sensing. So whether what or what, and now you can translate it into practical, maybe Christian or Muslim, it doesn't matter. The shape of the envelope that they put the money inside is square. You can't say that it depends on whether, no, it doesn't interfere. So he's an objective idealist in that sense of it. Secondary qualities for him then depend on us. And I showed you that. Look on my screen now. Secondary qualities, they will be the color, the sound, the texture, the taste. And come to think of it, you would have thought that he's making a lot of good sense until you go through the 5 proofs by Bishop George Berkeley, which is what Russell recounts. That's why I'm teaching them alongside and patiently waiting for you to catch up. Bishop Berkeley argues for subjective idealism, immaterialism, total immaterial. There is nothing matter that is real. It is mind. And if it is mind, whether it is the shape, the texture, the size, the sound, what have you, every reality, because he's an empiricist like his friend, everything that is real is an idea. If it's an idea, it must be in a mind. If you need to. If it is, it must be in a mind. Then it won't exist. Whether it is a primary quality or a secondary quality, it is relative. There I introduce the word. It's relative to who is doing the seeing. Who is doing the tasting? Now when you taste your knee, and then you determine. You give the person that he say, so I can sugar me. They didn't put sugar in the sobolo. How about it? So one face the other person says, oh, but this thing there's plenty sugar in it. The other person, oh, there's no sugar. You see, this your caterer didn't do a good job for us. Why? Oh, there's too much pepper in the soup. This one tastes, oh, but I can't taste pepper. This one tastes, oh, but there's too much pepper. Who is right and who is wrong? It is in the tongue of the one tasting. So those ones look like Locke will agree: taste, sound, sugar, color. But what about the shape of the chairs they brought to the event? That one too, does it depend? Locke say, oh, but that one it doesn't depend on who is watching. We can all see square or rectangle. Berkeley says it's a lie. Even the shape. That is where I want you to see. So he says, as for him, to be is to be perceived. If it exists, it must be in the mind. Now, what are the arguments he uses? All those 5 proofs are what I have summarized for you earlier, and I'll just do a quick wrap up. Then you would engage the argument lines he uses. I've summarized them for you. I said shape, I use the W to tell you. I wrote W on the floor. If you stand northwards towards it, you will call it M. The one standing southwards will call it W. And you are not wrong, and he's not wrong either. Yet the thing has its shape. But depending on where you stand, if you were watching immediately, so you will see Russell is talking sense data, sensation, and the physical object. If you are standing there directly and speaking to what you are directly seeing, not what you presume or assume to be the case, but what you are directly observing, immediately seeing, what you call sensation, you will see that it is not exactly what the other person, it may, I should say, may not be exactly what the other person sees. So the shape is W. If I move around to the other side, I may agree with him. But what I was seeing from my position relative to the object varies from A to B. And that is why Berkeley is telling Russell that even shape, the size, I use the aeroplane and the skyscraper. The person is in the plane, sees the skyscraper building down here, like a matches box. You are standing by the skyscraper down here on earth, on land. The thing is overwhelming. The size is so big. We thought size was objective. It is also dependent on the observer. That's point 3 of Russell's proofs. What's the other one? Motion. I use position. I think position, I did it in class. When I was introducing the course week 1, I asked 4 of you to stand in front. Depending on which direction you are counting from, you may count number 3 differently from how the other person counted number 3. None of you is wrong. None of you is right. It's relative to where you are standing to start the counting. And that is why even position, motion, and so on are all relative. So would you agree with Berkeley, the bishop, that every material substance, everything that is sensed, a physical object, the reality of it depends on the knowing mind. To be is to be perceived. Its reality is how I see it, how I know it, how I sense it. Now, if that is true, and Locke is totally wrong or inconsistent in his idealism, what does it mean for our everyday living? That is the question. So the end is the question I asked earlier. From Locke's perspective, let me hear your few comments on it. I'll stop the recording proper, then we can discuss some few minutes afterwards. If you were Berkeley, you see why a tree that is falling over on a desert island cannot make a sound and it cannot have a color or taste. Those are secondary qualities. Though for Locke, it must have size, shape, and motion. You can see why. For Berkeley, it cannot have any of those because to be is to be perceived. If you are a Christian fundamentalist or an Islamic fundamentalist or a political party activist to the extreme, you won't hear anything from the other person's perspective because you, dear, me, dear, this is how I see it. And that is what is real. That is the tendency we may have if we were to go strictly by subjective idealism, which says what is real is what is perceived. If it is not perceived, then it is not there. You can talk from here to heaven. If I don't see that way, you can't force me to see that. That's serious. And yet, the alternative, which is, well, I don't see it that way, but that is what John says, so I'm taking John, is problematic also. What if it is not true? What if it may not be true? I am done. Any questions? Ernest, did you get something that can help your understanding of the question you asked earlier? Please let me know. Any questions?
Yes, doctor.
I'll take the question. Very good. Olivia, I wanted to read for me, and Yasmin and Victoria. I've seen all of those hands. I've made a note of them. Okay. Please, any questions? I'm done with the idealism thing, and I've even worked you a bit into the reality versus appearance. These are all metaphysical questions that have practical application. Now, take note of this as we depart for next week. When I meet you, God willing, next week, I don't know what will happen if we'll do in person or online. Let's see how the week goes because of the funeral and all. If we meet in person, we'll do class presentation on the Russell paper, which you can see I have worked on for you. I've done a good introduction by building it into the Russell, the Berkeley, what's the name, log discussion. Okay, so the groups you formed, you are going to, I'll take your question, just a minute, let me put that on record. So you are going to meet as a group and do a critical summary of the Russell paper, reality versus appearance, which you have already. I think that one you have even in your resource too. I don't want too many excuses. It's there. I got the scanned version online. I put it there for you. Okay. You will engage as a group and write a critical summary. That one will be submitted on Sakai. Why? Because by the close of tomorrow, registration, we are hoping registrations will be done. So every properly registered student will be on Sakai. Then we don't do a back and forth. We've gone in and come out and going, please, I wasn't there. Can you add me to this? No. By then we'll be done. So our groupings will be settled. Members will join on Sakai. Then you will submit your work there to go through plagiarism. I'll check it and grade you for it. So you have the whole week. What are you doing? Just read the Russell paper after all that I've said. In the light of the Berkeley log discussion on idealism, and just do a critical summary. That simply means summarize the text, but make critical emphasis on the places of interest, and write out want to even show you so that you can feel free to work as a group. I will call the one in the group to present when I come to class. so make sure every group member actively participate or give away a person who didn't participate. Because if I call that person and he comes to mess up and the group gets to overtend, I write to overtend. I don't want any stories after that. So this is the time you do your good job, and I hope you will do very fine. Now I see 4 hands. Jennifer, is there a question or you read for me? If it is a reading, then I have lowered your hand. Maybe I should look. Okay, thank you.
Madam, please.
So lower your hands now. Okay. That's it. John, your hand is up. Is there a question? Class rep. I want to.
Madam, please, no. It was a mistake.
Oh, no, it's not a mistake. I think you wanted to read, so thank you. And I see Yasmin. Yasmin, is there a question?
Yes, madam. Question.
Go ahead. Go ahead very quickly so that your colleagues will go to their class. And the next group will come in.
Okay, please. The groups, is it on Sakai?
I'm coming. Let me end this one. Let me end the recording. Thank you all very much and all the best as you engage the content alongside the text and the slides on your resource too. I wish you well.
Okay.
All right. Now I have